perspective on trending stories and events. On ATN Gen Z, we bring to you the latest entertainment news and updates, interviews with your favorite celebrities and industry experts, performances by local artists, interactive segments, including viewer polls and giveaways. And now to our top trending stories for today in education, where Pella secures university admission sparks reaction. Also in awards, Academy releases Oscar nominations shortlist. And in music, Wizkid and Ashake drop joint EP Real Volume 1. And in Nollywood, Tonto DK reunite with ex-husband after decade. We'll go on a short break, and when we come back, we will dive right into it. But don't forget, this program is open for sponsorship, jingles, advert placement, news and events coverage, personality, society and political interviews, product, service promotion, and commercials. Watch us live on our website www.atlanticnetwork.tv. We are also available on Avo TV channel 205, Lemex TV platform, Ifastech platform, Apple TV, Ninja TV, Iroko TV. Follow us on all our social media handles at Facebook and YouTube at Atlantic Television Network, on Instagram and TikTok, Atlantic TV Network 1, and on X, Atlantic TV Net. Stay connected by following, subscribing, liking, and sharing our social media content. We have a guest today, is in the house, Sam Divine, but we'll go on a short break. When we get back, I'll introduce him to you and we'll dive straight into it. welcome back from that short break. I'm your host, I'm Kingsley in Palibo, and I won't be doing this alone. Today I have an awesome guest who has he has a robust knowledge of entertainment and is about that entertainment life. And I have with me Sam Divine. He's a socialite, he's an entertainment enthusiast. Sam, thank you for having us today.
Well, it's a pleasure to be on your television today.
Yeah. So we're going to dive straight into what we have today, where popular Nigerian content creator and live stream personality Habib Hamzat, widely known as Pella, has confirmed that he has gained admission into a Nigerian university, marking a significant personal achievement. The announcement was made via social media, where Pella shared videos celebrating the development, prompting widespread reactions from fans, fellow creators, and commentators across digital platforms. Pella rose to prominence through comedic skits and live online interaction, but his journey has often been accompanied by public scrutiny, particularly around his educational background and communication skills. In previous interviews and online moments, he openly acknowledged challenges with formal education and expressed interest in returning to school, making this admission a notable turning point in his public narrative. The news has reignited conversation around the importance of education for social media influencers and young creatives navigating fame at an early age. While supporters praise his determination and growth, critics continue to debate access standards and the influence of celebrities within Nigeria's education system, positioning the story at the intersection of youth culture, influence, and aspiration. So, yeah, Sam, what does Pella's admission represent for influencers and for social media users?
Well, basically, I feel like Pella did himself
right
by wanting to further his education, because in as much as we are all out in Nigeria and the world at large into social media contents and all of that, it's important we value education.
Obviously.
Yeah. So I feel basically Pella has seen that without education it is difficult to trade.
But do you think Pella actually went to school because of like public outrage? A lot of people were pressuring him, were like, Pella, go to school, you need school. Or did he actually go to school because he needed it?
I feel like a decision is a decision for him because, whether you're being, forced by people to go to school and all of that, he needs it. So it's up to Pella to, make a good decision for himself, basically.
Yeah, so like, basically, do you feel like he needed education for you? I'm asking your personal opinion. Do you feel like Pella actually needed the education? Because I mean, without being really educated, he has secondary school education, but without education, Pella was already successful. He was more successful than some graduate, actually, you could say. So do you believe that he really needed the school aspect in him? Because I mean, he was already making so much for himself.
Well, if there's one thing I would say I like about our generation, is the only thing I like about this Gen Z generation is their value for education.
Yeah.
You see, no matter how, people get balanced with life and all of that, education is actually key. Your knowledge, what you know actually stands for you. Yeah, you stand for what you know, rather.
Yeah, so how important is formal education, for influencers with massive followings? I mean, do you feel like Pella going to school, can influence, a lot of people, getting education? Because you can see what you want to see. You can see Pella is young, but one thing you cannot deny is Pella has influence. And do you feel like that influence, can make more people, like, does it mean anything to his social media fans going to school?
Pella going to school is a good narrative is putting out there in social media for, young people will feel like immediately they are, they have their basic certificate knowledge. They feel like furthering their education isn't something, they should prioritize. But Pella, going back to school after, making all this, acquiring all this wealth in such a young age, I feel like it's a really good narrative he's putting out there for the young youths of our generation.
Yeah, and by the way, congratulations to Pella. He just got himself, a new AMG GLE 63. So congratulations to him. He's winning on and off. So I mean, you feel like going with that, you feel like from what you've said, social media public figures, they should be more intentional about what they do, because from what we've seen so far, Pella's influence, making him to go to school, like you agreed, can a lot of his fans will follow that cue. So do you feel like he needs to focus these public figures, the people with influence, they need to be more intentional about their actions?
In the situation we find ourselves, in the generation we find ourselves, rather, it is seen that, what these celebrities put out on social media is what, a whole lot of youths follow. A social media dance can trend today, and it's just like everybody's following up with the trend and all of that. So if they prize, our education, and all of that, I feel like a whole lot of youths are going to prioritize their education too.
Yeah, moving on, the Academy of Motion Pictures Arts and Sciences has officially announced the nominations for this year's Oscars, setting the tone for the global awards season. The announcement highlights standout films, performances, and technical achievements that defined cinema over the past year immediately, sparking conversations across Hollywood and international film communities. Several films emerged as a frontrunner, earning multiple nominations across categories such as Best Picture, Best Director, and Acting awards. The list also reflects the Academy's continued effort, to spotlight diverse storytelling, international cinema, and evolving industry standards with strong representation across both creative and technical fields. As expected, the nominations have generated debates over perceived snubs, surprise inclusions, and question of representation. With the ceremony approaching, attention now turns to predictions, campaign momentum, and how this year's nomination reflects shifting trends in global filmmaking and audience expectation. So, for you, what stood out the most for you this year at the Oscars nomination?
Well, all I have to say about this Oscars nomination is the value for excellence is finally coming to the limelight.
Yeah.
The value for excellence. So I feel like they know exactly what they are doing, and I'm looking forward to seeing which actor or which director wins all of the awards slated out.
Yeah, I would agree with you, because you look at the list for the best actor role, and there are a lot of tough names there, the likes of Chamberlain, the likes of Michael B. Jordan. So all these names, and a lot of fans are waiting. They have a lot of people have expectations about who's going to win, and I think we need to talk about how tough it is making it into the best actor category.
Basically, myself, I'm surprised, and I feel like this is going to be like, if there is any word like the most transparent award ever, I feel like that's the word for it, because I feel like I said earlier, excellence is finally coming to the limelight. So people might feel like they omitted some names, or they are wanting to be funny with and picky with names and all of that. But I feel like basically it's just about excellence. There are no omissions, and yes, I'm surprised, and I'm looking forward to the awards.
Yes. So according to Sam Divine, they were not surprises or omissions, that caught his attention. And do these nominations reflect how cinema is evolving globally? Because for me, Divine, this is a generation where we are seeing the likes of Netflix, you are seeing streaming platforms, taking over this the momentum, and it seems like the era of cinema is drying down. These movies are cinema movies, and does it help change, help bring up the face of cinema in an era where streaming seems to be taking over?
I feel like this awards and all of this is helping evolve. It evolves globally, basically, and I feel like it is bringing everybody to the limelight. You see Nigerian Nollywood actors now in Hollywood, some even in Bollywood. So I feel like it has a huge impact globally on movies and all of that.
So when do you think the Nigerian movie industry, the Nollywood, will be able to match up with the Oscars? Because you look at the kind of movies in the Oscars category, and the kind of movies in Nollywood, when we go to the AMVC and you look at the quality of movies and everything, I mean, no disrespect to the to the Nigerian movie industry, but there seems to be a gulf in difference, among um, these two industries. So I mean, when do you think that Nigeria, can get to the quality of the Oscars to the Hollywood, so that we could see such quality movies, at the AMVCs and the AFRIMAs?
Basically, I feel like Nigeria is doing perfectly. The Nollywood
Really?
is doing perfectly, because I feel like, you would agree with me that years ago, when we were a bit younger and all of that, the way we saw our Nollywood movies are not the same with the way they are
But
now.
you can say they are growing, but do you think they are on the same level with Hollywood?
Saying they're on the same level with Hollywood is a whole lot, because Hollywood has been Hollywood for quite a while, and
Yeah.
we have Nollywood. So I feel like it's a gradual process, and definitely we'll get there.
All right, we hope for the Nollywood, to get to the level of the Hollywood. So, which particular category, do you expect, to be most difficult? I mean, a lot of people will tell you it's the best male actor. Some people will tell you it's the best director, and some people will tell you it's the best emotional scene. So, I mean, in looking at these categories, I mean, where do you actually think a lot of people will have headaches on the particular choice?
I think it should be on the award for the best director.
Yeah.
Yes, because basically the movie, the acting or putting up a movie comes first from the script writers and the directors and all that. So I feel like the directors, they have a huge role to play in filmmaking. So yeah, that award seems to be the toughest for me.
All right, we'll go on a short break after now, and when we come back, we'll be talking about Afrobeat superstar Ashake and Wizkid, and a whole lot more of new stories coming into the world of entertainment. Don't go anywhere. Stay with us. Welcome back from that short break. It's still ATN Gen Z on your favorite, dial Atlantic Television Network, and we're going to stick on to music where Afrobeat superstars Wizkid and Ashake have officially released Real Volume 1, their first full-length collaborative EP, marking a major milestone in Nigerian music, widespread industry buzz, and record-breaking activity. The four-track project featuring Jogodo, Turbulence, Iskuludo, and Alaye dropped on January 23rd, 2026, following weeks of anticipation after the duo teased fans with the lead single Jogodo and promotional visuals. Already, the project's lead single Jogodo has shattered streaming benchmarks in Nigeria, becoming one of the most streamed songs in local history. In its first week on Spotify Nigeria, Jogodo surpassed 5 million streams, the biggest streaming week for any song ever recorded on the platform, and also achieved over 1.388 million streams in a single day on release, positioning it ahead of almost all previous collaborative drops in the country's music streaming data. Real Volume 1 is also making waves beyond Nigeria, becoming the first African EP to hit number 1 on the UK Apple Music albums charts, highlighting the growing global resonance of Afrobeat. Real Volume 1 blends Wizkid's smooth international Afropop sensibilities with Ashake's big, high energy, street-rooted style, and has sparked widespread conversation about strategic collaborations and Afrobeat's continued expansion on the world stage. So, first of all, Sam, have you listened to that EP? Don't tell me you've not listened to it.
Well, maybe for you go Jogodo.
Okay. Yeah, so that means you've listened to it and you know it's how will you view the album? Like, how will you rate it on a scale of 1 to 10?
Well, I feel like I'll give the album 20/10.
Wow.
Because Wizkid, Wizkid is just Wizkid. As his name, no. Wizkid is actually the best Nigerian artist for me. I feel like I can beat my chest and say that.
Than Fela.
Wizkid is big. Wizkid is big.
Yeah,
Wizkid
this
is
from
big.
Sam Divine. So what makes the Real Volume 1 EP, such a significant release to Wizkid and Ashake? Because coming from Wizkid released his last album, I think that was 2024. He released Morayo. It was relatively successful, though he wasn't able to stream with that, to tour with that album. And Ashake, he released Lungu Boy, and he has been really quiet since then. So how will you interpret, how significant is this, talking about this collaboration? Did you see it coming?
Well, yes, I saw the collaboration between Ashake and Wizkid coming because, on Twitter, we found like a video of Ashake and Wizkid, doing music in the studio, leaked online, and everybody was like, Ashake and Wizkid, having another track, Basically, the whole world knows that, Ashake is a genius, he's a masterpiece, in what he's doing, and Wizkid is actually just greatness.
So, I know there have been a lot of good joint EP in Nigeria, but how would you you look at that EP, where do you rate it in the Nigerian music scene? When you talk about joint EP, it's too early, but it to be among the greatest.
Basically, I feel like, having this Ashake and Wizkid's, album, is the best collaboration, that's ever happened, in
Really?
the history of Nigerian music and entertainment industry, because we all know Ashake is who Ashake is, and Wizkid is big and up there, and bringing these two together is just always amazing. They did it with MMS, and
fantastic.
oh my God, we all loved that music, and imagine them working together on an album. Before you go do.
So for you, word on the street says maybe Wizkid is using, a lot of people will say Wizkid is not trendy, word on the street, and he's trying to leech off Ashake. Like, what do you think of that statement? Do you actually believe Wizkid is actually leeching off Ashake?
when I say Wizkid is big, Wizkid is really big.
He's big, but does he have the clout he had about 4 years ago?
I feel like Wizkid has always been, the talk of the internet, as quiet and as absent as he may look. Wizkid is actually, the most talked about African artist on Twitter, on Instagram. Wizkid is always dragged, Wizkid is actually the talk in Nigeria. The whole of Africa, basically.
Yeah, so what impact do you think this collaboration will have on the global perception of Nigerian music? We've not seen a lot of this joint EP happening in Nigeria. We've heard a lot of people has teased Nigerians, the likes of Burna Boy. Burna Boy has teased the joint EP with J-Hus. At some certain point, we had Bella Shmurda, tease a joint EP with Omale. I mean, those are the few that I can get at the top of my head, but it's telling you we've had these people who have told us that joint EP in Nigeria is not always successful. So, like we saw Rima, you could say the EP system was there, but when Rima did the EP and it became very successful, a lot of people started copying that step. They started doing more EPs. A lot of people, when they release their artists, they first release an EP first before they drop an album. And do you think that this EP, this joint EP, Real Volume 1, has the capacity of, replicating that? Are we going to see more joint EPs from now on?
Basically, if there's something I've come to understand about, the Nigerian music industry is that there is a specific, direction, that everybody's, working towards. It's just like with the way it is, if the both of us, if we come together and we have like a joint EP, it's like somebody else somewhere, obviously, somebody else somewhere, is already looking forward to, his own joint EP, with a different style and all of that. One thing I admire about Nigerian music and Nigerian arts is that everybody has their own style. Everybody has their own, area of concentration where, they're doing their best and all of that,
All right. So, how does the music chemistry between Wizkid and Asake, contribute to this EP success?
Basically, all I have to say is that, Wizkid is greatness and Asake is excellence. So, bringing greatness and excellence together, that's surely a pure chemistry, to the EP.
All right. You've heard it from Sam Divine. Personally, that was a brilliant one, from Asake and Wizkid. Was it a way, to shut the noise, or do you feel like Wizkid did that because he knew he was going to release this EP very soon? Talking about that Fela statement he made. Do you feel it's strategic? Because in the last about three times Wizkid has released the project, he went on to diss Davido before releasing it. And again, do you think it's a coincidence? Because can it be a coincidence? Because releasing it just, I think, 2 days after replying Sheon Kuti, and you release that album when the whole world, the whole Nigeria is talking about Fela and is talking about Wizkid.
Basically, if we are being, true to ourselves and sincere, for about 3 to 4 years now, Wizkid doesn't do any promotion. Wizkid doesn't do any kind of publicity, compared to other Nigerian acts. And, when Wizkid releases, any music, album, whatever, it's always greatness.
But it's not on those artists that Wizkid is not doing promotions.
What I'm trying to say is, before, Wizkid was talked about by Fela, Sheon Kuti, the dates for the album, for the EP rather, with Asake was already out.
And that brings me to the point that knowing, the album is going to be released in 2 days from now, I'm trending. What can I do? Don't you think it's a PR strategy from
I feel like Wizkid is naturally, he's just blessed because he has ignored Sheon Kuti for, Sheon Kuti dragged Wizkid for almost a week, and Wizkid ignored her for about 6 to 5 days. I think he spoke on the 7th or 6th day thereabout. I'm not so sure about the information, but what I know is that Wizkid, with or without Sheon Kuti dragging Wizkid, come on, the album would have still been great by now.
All right. Talking about Babanla, congratulations to Ashake and Wizkid,
Congrats, Wizkid.
on that joint EP. And moving on, Nollywood actress, philanthropist, and public figure Tonto Dike has announced a reconciliation with her ex-husband, businessman Olakunle Churchill Oladunni, ending a 10-year public feud that included separation, court dispute, and social media battles. DK made the revelation on January 21st, 2026, through a heartfelt social media post describing the development as a moment of divine intervention and calling it a restoration of peace and respect after years of deep wounds and broken communication. The former couple, who were married in 2015 and separated in 2017 amid intense media scrutiny, share his son, King Andre, whose custody and welfare became a focal point of their long-standing conflicts. In recent days, Churchill publicly confirmed the reconciliation, revealing that he received a phone call from his phone for the first time in years, a moment he described as deeply touching and symbolic of healing and new beginnings. Both parents have since emphasized a renewed commitment to co-parent with mutual respect, love, and cooperation after years of acrimonious exchanges. DK's public testimony highlights her spiritual journey and emphasis on faith, forgiveness, and humility as key factors in the reconciliation. She has encouraged others in painful situations not to lose hope, describing the restored relationship as a testament to mercy, grace, and perseverance. Analysts say the development offers rare and uplifting turn in Nigerian celebrity culture, moving from conflict to cooperation while placing the well-being of their child at the center of renewed partnership. So Sam is a good one. We are saying Tonto Dike and Churchill, after a long period of time, quarreling. What do you make of Tonto Dike's announcement that she and Churchill have reconciled after a decade of public conflict? I mean, a decade.
There's something about love. Love is deeper than the understanding of men. I feel like with the issue of Tonto Dike and her husband, and her ex-husband rather, I feel like despite the fact that, they were with each other for these 10 years, it is still possible that, they still love each other.
So you feel like something can spark the fire between both of them?
Most definitely.
It's possible.
Most definitely, because, parents go away from their children, and reunite with their children years later, Love is just about love and, what you want to do. I feel like she wanted a husband in her life, because she obviously has a son, raising a child as a single mother is terrible,
Yeah.
If there's definitely ways for her to work out a relationship, I feel like she did the right thing with reuniting with her husband.
All right. And how significant, is this development in the context of, Nigerian celebrity, life and, their industry? How do you see it?
Basically, like we said earlier, with the issue of Bella and all of that, we said that, whatever you do out there for people to see, I feel like celebrities basically, are like, a mirror to the world, because it's just like we are seeing all of what they're doing, and, their lifestyles, reflect in that mirror and all of that. So I feel like, when women, that want to divorce their husbands or are away from their husbands or have given up, in their relationship, their marriages and all of that, this is just a sign for them that there is still hope. You could still work things out, with your partner and all of that. And I feel like separation basically is just not my thing, I feel like, before you get into a marriage with somebody, you should be able to stay with it, like they normally say, for better, for worse. So
you look at this relationship, and a lot of people will tell you that the biggest benefactor of this situation is King Andre, the son of Tonto Dike. It's very difficult for single parents, for children not growing up with a complete family. So, I mean, how do you think that it would have affected, his development? Him saying that this is the first time he's hearing his son calling him, for the first time in years. I mean, it would have been painful, on the side of the man, not being able to speak to your son, and on the part of the child, not being able to speak to your dad. So I mean, there are a lot of dynamics, when it comes to separation.
What I've come to understand is that, yeah, the child is actually, the first benefactor of the relationship between, your mother and the father rather. So I feel like, that's a big step. That's a good step, in the life of their son, because when he is with both his mom and his dad, I feel like he has that company, he deserves and he desires.
Right, and a lot of people will tell you, Tonto DK, not a lot of people, Tonto DK, she has come out and she has been public about, her repentance and how she's a changed person now. She said she's a Christian. She even gave testimony of her deliverance. So you look at Tonto DK. I mean, frame this, as a matter of faith and forgiveness. That's what she framed it as. So you look at Tonto DK. It is really evident in her that she's changed. I mean, a lot of people will tell you that is it just another period of time where she just wants it for the relevance, because a lot of people tell you that some people play the Christian role, to gain sympathy from the public. On Tonto DK's path, she just became a Christian. She just gave her life to Christ, and she has been posting it on social media. So, do you think it has affected, her choice and how she has seen things? She's seen things differently, since her repentance.
I feel like, repentance is also a thing from the heart. If somebody says, she has repented and she's moved on with, all of her past lives and all of that, I feel like it's an opportunity for everyone to actually learn. We should all pick up the good fact and the good thing of what she has done, reconciling with her, her ex-husband. That is she basically living a life of forgiveness. Yeah.
All right. How do you see faith playing a role in personal healing, and reconciliation? Do you believe faith, what you believe in, plays a role on what you actually become? Because there have been perceptions about religions and a lot of other factors. So do you think that Christianity has been a religion of peace? Do you think that the faith and the religion you practice, would also, influence the decision you take, especially when it comes to reconciliation? Because someone that is serving maybe a traditional God might not take the same route as someone being a Christian. A traditional worshiper might want to do things differently. So do you think being a Christian, shaped that her decision?
Well, everybody has their faith.
Yeah.
Everybody has their beliefs and all of that. But I feel like with the issue of Tonto DK, she has chosen her path, and excuse me, she has chosen her path, and everybody is seeing that she has chosen to be a Christian. She said she has given her life to
Christ.
Christ, Jesus Christ, and all of that. We should not even base this on religion right now. I feel like she has said, I am giving my life to Christ. I want to serve Jesus, and this is how Jesus teaches me to go, and this is how I should go, and all of that. So I feel like we shouldn't base her decision based on her faith. She actually did what she wanted to do, because that is what she believes. I might have a different belief, and you might have a different belief. But what we're trying to say is, the path that Tonto DK has chosen to follow is actually a very great path. Bringing herself and her family all together.
Yeah, we are happy for the family of Tonto DK and her son King Andre, and also Churchill Oladuni. And this is where we wrap it up on this episode of ATN Gen Z. Thank you, Sam Divine. I mean, you made this show perfect. This program is open for sponsorship, jingles, advert placements, news and events coverage, personality, society and political interviews, product and service promotion, and commercials. Don't forget to watch us live on our website, www.atlanticnetwork.tv. We are also available on Avo TV channel 25, Limex TV platform, Ifas Tech platform, Apple TV, Niger TV, Iroko TV. Follow us on all our social media, Facebook and YouTube at Atlantic Television Network, Instagram and TikTok at Atlantic TV Network 1. On X, Atlantic TV Net. Stay connected by following, subscribing, liking, and sharing our social media content. Don't forget, peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Thank you for watching. I am Kingsley Ipalibo.